welcome to the Cold Climate Garden YouTube channel. Today I would like to talk a little bit about the winter. And the further north you live, obviously, the more time you have in winter. When you're doing gardening or growing food in a cold climate, the winter might seem like a dormant time where nothing happens and a little bit of a waste of time compared to other climates where you have a longer growing season. But actually, the winter has several advantages, and we're going to get to that in a little bit. In my garden, we have a huge cherry tree, and in this cherry tree, there is a magpie nest. And when the magpies return to their nest and start fixing it and repairing the damage that has been caused during the winter, that is when I know the spring is arriving. That's the first sign of spring that we get here where I live. And we just had this a couple of weeks ago. So that's why when I know it's time to start thinking about the spring and planting again. It's not long ago that we had the entire garden covered with a thick layer of snow. But the last couple of weeks now we have had plus degrees and a lot of rain. So the snow is melting rapidly and parts of the garden starting to emerge again. So I want to take you out in the garden to have a look, to see what it looks like now when we are just end of February, beginning of March. Yes, so let's head outside. So my main garden, or my kitchen garden, is on the east side of our house. Ice is cracking here, which is not ideal, but we do get the sun up very early in the morning, around 5 o'clock. So we have the whole morning sun. The first thing that I was thinking about is the fact that the earth is covered with snow for several months a year, and especially at the beginning of the winter season and at the end of the winter season, when we have a phase of freezing and thawing and freezing and thawing in the process of the temperature going down and coming up again. The water that penetrates into the ground will freeze when it drops below zero, and then the water expands. And when it goes a little bit above zero again and it thaws, this water will melt and leave tiny pockets of air in the ground. And when this is repeated over and over again, it creates quite a good structure in the soil with a lot of air coming in without us having to do any digging. That is one thing that the winter brings that we don't get in other areas without the cold season. Yes. So I'm just going to make my way over to the kitchen garden now. We can see that the beds are creeping out of the snow, although we still have a little bit to go before we can really start growing stuff. What I noticed here is that we have this is actually leek, and it has overwintered. It will be interesting to see if that will grow or if it's going to just die off. And in this bed I also planted onions in the fall. And that's the first time I have planted onions, so that would be also interesting. In here I don't have anything, I think. So the snow is still here we have some boxes from last year's growing. There were actually carrots inside here and they did not do well at all. I'm not sure what that is. I think it's like a parsnip, wild parsnip, that I have mulched partly, or I have mulched with different material here. So this grass clipping, the light colored, and then there's some just leaves on the other half. And here we have my strawberries. They are also coming out of the snow. And here I have also mulched with grass clippings, and it's all soaking wet now. So, and then I have one last bed at the top there. And in case you're wondering why these are all covered with like chicken wire, that is because we have a lot of cats in the neighborhood. They think this is a good toilet, basically. So I'm trying to stop them from going in here pooping. And we also have a gooseberry bush and 2 red currant bushes that are, yeah, bringing a lot of a lot of berries. And over here we have the last bed. I have not cleaned it up in the autumn, as you can see. And this is where I planted my Chandler Bing tulips. So I'm hoping they will come up. It will probably be one of the first things that come up this spring. Yes, that is how the kitchen garden looks at the moment. Partly covered in snow still. And we'll also go and have a quick look at the greenhouse, which I also did not manage to clean up at the end of the season. So it's all a little bit of a mess with me here. But at least the door is free of snow now, so it's possible to get inside. It's my tomato plants from last year. So I think this will be my weekend project. And the second thing that I was thinking about is the fact that we have such a long period of freezing means that we have the opportunity to break a lot of the pest cycles. Meaning, I'm just gonna go and sit down on the stairs here. When the winter comes, the pest goes into a dormant phase. Some overwinter in the form of eggs, and some do go into a dormancy where they just basically sleep. Or yeah, they just go into hiding and they sit there for the whole winter season. They of course adapt to the cold, so the cold in itself will not kill them off unless it gets very cold, and that do happen sometimes. Another factor is that some of the birds that are insect or larvae eating do stay here for the winter. A lot of them will migrate south because there's less insects available, but some do stay and they will eat the eggs of the insects and the insects themselves if they can find them sort of wherever they are hiding. So the winter helps to break the pest cycles in a way that we don't see in a warmer climate. That was it for today. Follow us if you would like to see what's happening in our garden during the season.